Hey, best friend. If you know me, you know that I love to learn and I am always, always looking for ways to help my clients grow faster. If you know me, you know that this is true. I am actually on my last night of a training. Tomorrow will be the 8th day. And I have learned some things that have honestly changed my life and I believe will change the life of the people that I work with. And I love to help people grow. I'm always growing. I have a huge value for personal growth and development. And because of that, I went to a training for NLP, which stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And I learned about this concept of MER, which also, all these acronyms, stands for mental and emotional release. And while I was excited about NLP and I used those techniques, and you've heard them in this podcast, me using some of the languaging and things like that, I decided to pursue advanced certification to become a master practitioner, mostly because I wanted to learn MER. And I wanted to learn MER because it is a rapid healing technique and that, like I said, rapid helps people heal fast. And one of the things that I think is a negative about the counseling world, which you know that I'm in and I have a degree in that, is there is a belief that it is a long-term process, and it should be a long-term process, has to be a long-term process. And I just don't buy into that. And so I'm always looking, again, for ways to help people heal faster. I'm betting that if you're listening to this and you've ever seen a counselor, thought about seeing a counselor or getting help in some way, maybe even a coach, you've thought, man, I want to heal fast. I want to deal with my crap fast. I don't want to keep carrying this. Why does stuff take so long? And so I've had begun a process truly of exploring what are ways to help people heal faster. And what about this? And what about that? And when I heard about MER, I thought, well, that's fascinating. It's fascinating that people can heal that fast. And there are some other therapists and counselors that were in my training. They were assistants and they were already using it. And I went up to them and I was like, are you using this? Does it work like they say that it works? And the counselors that I spoke to were like, yeah, it blew my mind. It's changed my whole practice. And so I said, okay, I am going to pursue advanced certification mostly so I can learn this. And I was like, well, if it really works as well as Dr. Matt James says that it does, then I needed to do it. And I wanted to do it. I will never forget sitting in the first class or the first course that I took, watching him do this on somebody that had a phobia. And after he was finished, that phobia was gone. And it was the kind that moved her. Whenever she thought about it, I don't remember what it was right now. I just remember watching the experience that she would cry while she talked about it. And then after it was done, it was like, oh yeah, no big deal. I'm not afraid of that anymore. They even brought something out to try to cue her to be afraid of it. And she wasn't anymore. And I just couldn't fathom that. So I pursued it. And then while I was here the second week, I did my own personal breakthrough session. And it's not just MER, because MER in and of itself is really just a technique, but there is a process that's a part of MER, which involves a breakthrough session. And y'all, it is a while. It can take 6 to 9 hours to do one. And I honestly had a life-changing experience. For me, it was a life-changing And I will talk about that in a hot minute. So stay tuned because you're my best friend. I want to tell you about what happened with me because I think it's important for you to know. I think it's important for you to know that healing modalities like this actually exist. So, Dr. Matt said, trying to get your goals without doing MER is like trying to run in quicksand. And honestly, I'm not really sure that I would have believed that if I hadn't done that myself, because I know what I look like as a counselor and I know what I look like as a coach. And I know the things that I put in to help people heal. I know the advanced trainings and the things like that and the techniques and tools that I use, even with NLP to help things, thought processes loosen up, or more tools out of my toolbox, but this blew me away. So I want to tell you just a little bit about breakthrough sessions and MER, and again, then I'll tell you about my experience. So one of the things that I think that you need to understand is our conscious mind, which is the part that's running our brain most of the time, is about 5%. And then the other part is 95%. That is our unconscious mind, and it's running our processes and systems all of the time. And the role of the unconscious mind, and there's more than this, so I'm just going to give you a few of them, is to store memories, to make associations and connections, so it's always putting things together. Sometimes even things that don't belong together, which is part of the problem. It organizes. It goes, this felt like this, or this is like this, and these things go together. Then it also represses memories that have unresolved negative emotions. Represses them. It also presents for a resolution. It wants to solve problems. Your unconscious mind wants to solve problems, which is awesome. It just sometimes doesn't solve problems for our benefit. It also runs the body and preserves the body. So that's something to be grateful for, because I'm not sitting here telling my body to breathe and my heart to beat. It utilizes a lot of metaphors and symbolisms. Our conscious mind tends to be more linear, but our unconscious mind is not in any way. It takes everything personally. So I want you to even think about that in your own life. Like, do you ever take things that personally, that in hindsight, you're like, what was going on with me? Well, a part of that has to do with that was your unconscious mind running the show. And it also does not process negatives. It deletes the not. It's the same reason that you don't tell, like I don't tell my 3.5-year-old, that's funny that I'm saying don't. I do not say to her, to Leah, do not get on the table. Because what her brain does is delete the not. So she hears, do get on the table. What I tell her is, I want your bottom on the chair or your feet on the floor. It needs clear directions. Now that you at least understand a little bit of the role of the unconscious mind, I want to tell you about, there's 6 areas of life. And in these 6 areas, you can do a breakthrough session in which the first is career. So thinking about, are you in a career that you want to be in? Do you feel stuck? Could you move to a different career? Do you need to give it up altogether and travel the world? I don't know. Then your physical health. Could you grow that? Could you be better in that? What about relationships? Do you need to grow in your own relationship, or are you stuck in your relationship, or are you hoping to find your lifelong partner, but you can't seem to find them, keep dating the wrong kind of people? That means there might be some baggage around that. Then our personal growth and development. How can we be better personally as people? We can grow spiritually. And then also we may need a spiritual breakthrough, like we're stuck in some capacity there, or we've had some stuff going on with our family. We're not able to make the connections and the closeness that we want to have. So you have the role of the unconscious mind where memories and negative emotions are stored that have not been dealt with. And then they can create all of these other problems in the body from pain, from our baggage showing up in ways that we don't want it to show up. So I want you to think about, friend, have you ever had a time where you responded way out of proportion for the situation? Like maybe you were way too sad, angry, fearful, whatever it is, that your response did not match the situation. So let's say that you get an email from your boss and you're like, oh, that's annoying. That's a level, maybe like a level 2, a 3, unless you have a charge around the word annoying. But because there's baggage with your boss, with histories of bosses, with authority, with whatever, then all of a sudden that 3 feels like an 8 because you've got a 5 that it's building off of. And then you end up responding a way that you wish you hadn't in a situation. That's baggage. That's what we want to do breakthrough sessions for. That is one of the ways that MER helps heal, is blows out all of that baggage so it's not there anymore. It removes the charge, it removes the negative emotion around it. So in a part of the process of breakthrough sessions is, as a practitioner, you need to have gone through it yourself. One, because you need to know how to do it, know what it feels like, but also because we're people too. And we have, counselors are people too, coaches are people too, whatever. We have our own stuff. And so I was like, cool. I've been feeling stuck in my physical health. I would get to a place where I would go, oh, I've hit threshold. I don't want to weigh this anymore. I don't want to look like this anymore. And never had anything to do with me being mean to myself. I want to be really clear about that. And you're going to hear the role of my unconscious mind and also my conscious mind. So my conscious mind would tell you that I'm so awesome, that I love me just the way that I am. I'm not defined by my size, things like that. Those are conscious thought processes that I have. In fact, if I'm ever mean to myself, I have to follow it up with ways that I'm nice to myself. Those are conscious processes. But underneath, there were some things that were running that I was like, man, I don't know what I'm going to find. I'm not even really sure what's there. Like, if this really works, then hopefully it'll help me figure it out. Why I keep getting stuck, why I'll lose the weight, gain it back, do great, then get off the wagon. And the hard part was, it's like, I know all of the right things to do. I know how to care for my health. I know how to eat. I know how to work out. I know these things, what is going on in me. And so I want you to even hear my own thoughts or my own process and think about it as you've run into areas in your life where maybe you're stuck. So I really didn't think that I'd find much because I practice mindfulness in my life of knowing myself, knowing what's going on in me, knowing how I want to deal with it, face it, approach it, what I will allow to be there, what I won't allow to be there, the way that I sit with emotion, and then I redirect my thoughts or my mind. Like, this is a regular, everyday process for me. And then we started digging into my history, and my practitioner was asking a bunch of questions about my physical health. And I started telling her stories or situations anyways, that I didn't even quite know why I was telling her. I was like, I'm not really even sure why this is relevant, but I'm just going to trust my unconscious mind's prompting. Okay. So anyways, we kept trying to find the greater problem, and the greater problem is really important because it's one of the things that we deal with and we get rid of. And so we kept hearing some things, and she'd go, we kept hearing some things. It was the stuff that was coming out of my mouth. So she would go, "Hey, do you think this is a greater problem?" And I was like, I mean, that's in there somewhere, but that's definitely not it. And so she came back and she goes, "What does this, and this have? How are these related to the problem?" And when she said that, it was like it unlocked something in me. And I said, "Oh, well, in order to," and I'm just going to be really honest. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you maybe more than you want to know about me, but you're my best friend. So I think it's appropriate. I had some baggage connected to exes, even in trying to think, an episode or two ago, I talked about being sexually harassed at work, at a workplace. And anytime, it was basically like anytime I got fit, something negative from a physical perspective happened to me. And on a conscious perspective, it's actually bizarre to hear me even tell you that, because consciously I'm like, that's nonsense. I don't need to protect myself. I'm in a loving, close, connected marriage. I don't need to protect myself. And yet, my unconscious mind had linked things that I wouldn't say go together, but it had made them go together. Remember, I told you the role of the unconscious mind is to organize. The role of the unconscious mind is to repress memories with unresolved negative emotion. The role of the unconscious mind is to make associations and connections. So the role of the unconscious mind is to take everything personally. I wasn't walking around thinking about these events that happened, feeling bad for myself, or just feeling like the weight of those. But I want you to hear that in reality, they were there. And so I looked at my practitioner. I'm circling back. I looked at my practitioner and I said, well, in order for me to do that, or to not do that, or to keep running this cycle, I would have to believe the lie that I'm not good enough in order for me to do that. And it was like a light bulb went off in my brain. And again, I want to come back to consciously. Y'all, I think I am awesome. I'm a delight. My family hears that from me all the time. Like, I'm a delight. These are things that I speak over myself. And by the way, I believe them. But stuff was running in my unconscious mind. I want you to really recognize the power of that. So, anyways, we went through the process, which this part is not as long as the digging up all of the things and understanding what's going on. And the reason that you dig up all the things, you may go, well, like, let's just find the greater problem. Well, you need to dig up the things to find out the related problem. And also, so your mind is charged, your unconscious mind is charged enough that when you go through healing the things, it knows the events to go back to that need healing. Y'all, it's amazing. Anyways, so we did the thing. We did the history. We did the thing. We did the MER process. We ran some NLP techniques. We did the things. And I was like, I feel lighter. When we discovered what the greater problem was, it felt like there was there was a weight on my chest. And I at least wasn't consciously aware that it was there before. Afterwards, that weight was gone. But not only was the weight on my chest gone when we discovered it, the weight in my whole body was gone. I felt lighter. And I know that that seems like a weird thing for me to describe to you, but I felt lighter. Then, but wait, there's more. This is like the best kind of more that I've ever told you, is like, but wait, there's more. So then the next day, I woke up, had a really great night's sleep. And by the way, I don't normally sleep great in hotels. I get hot. I have a chili pad at home. Those things are magical, by the way. I'll tell you about them maybe at another time because sleep is important. I don't really sleep great at hotels. I had a great night's sleep and I woke up. And by the way, over the last decade, I have felt fatigue every day of my life. And when I tracked it back, I always thought that, and it could still be in some capacity, I thought it was connected to like a bad a bad strain of like mono Epstein-Barr virus that I got, and it just kind of stayed latent and would show up. But I was fatigued, truly fatigued every day. I'd go to do my workouts. I would feel like I didn't even have the energy to complete them, and I was getting sleep, and I was eating the things and whatever. Fatigued every day. I woke up. I was like, holy smokes. I have a lot of energy. I don't feel fatigued for the rest of the day. And I hit an incredible workout, tons of energy. And like when when you're working out and you go to hit, it's like you hit a wall and you're like, I don't know if I can keep going. And you make yourself. Well, I got to I'm kind of tired-ish, not even tired. It was like, I've been doing this a lot, or this really hurts. I don't really know if I want to keep doing this. And go. I had the energy to do it. Then the rest of the day I had energy. And then I woke up the next day. I had a good night's sleep. Can't find my Oura ring, so I can't like quantify how good my sleep was. But I didn't feel fatigued. And the next day, I didn't have fatigue. And the next day, I didn't have fatigue. In fact, not only did I not have fatigue, I have energy. Energy that I haven't had for over a decade. I can remember how long I felt tired. And honestly, it becomes a way of life. It becomes a way of life for you where you're just like, yeah, this is just my life. You forget what it feels like. I actually feel like a normal human. I'm like, oh, this is how people are supposed to feel. My back pain is gone. Again, this comes back to things that you deal with chronically that you don't even realize that you deal with. It was like, yeah, I have, a little bit of like lordosis or sway back, and I'm not in as good a shape as I need to be in. And so it kind of makes sense. I have this low level kind of back pain. It's gone. I've also had stomach pain for over a decade. This all connects back into the same time period. I've had stomach pain for that amount of time also. And like, I don't know if any of you have ever done what's called a Superman. They do them in like CrossFit type workouts. You're laying on your belly and your feet are like you tighten your booty muscles and your legs, and your feet are kind of like floating, and you put your arms back. I'm doing it on my screen. If you're watching me on YouTube anyways, I'm putting my arms back, kind of like I'm flying through the air. And every time I would do it, and sometimes I couldn't even do it, I had so much discomfort in my stomach that it was hard for me to lay on my belly like that. Guess what? It's gone. It's gone. And that was such a picture to me of a truth that I know as a practitioner, is that emotion gets stored in the body. Trauma gets stored in the body, pain gets stored in the body, whatever. I had unresolved emotions stored in my body that I didn't even realize was there, because consciously I work very hard to direct where my focus is. But I couldn't, I was not aware enough in my unconscious of the things that were running amok, basically. They're not there anymore. This has changed my life. And I know that seems like kind of hyperbole, honestly, but to not feel fatigued multiple days in a row, knowing what it's connected to, now that I know, I'm mind blown. I was tired every single day. I had tried so many things to try to give me energy, trying to make sure, y'all, I like this. I'm going to tell myself, because like, I'm just being honest. I think it's just important for me to be honest. Is I drank white monsters for a while, trying to make sure and I'm a fast caffeine metabolizer, but y'all, those are trash. Like, that's just really the truth. Monster's never going to sponsor me. I don't want them to sponsor me. Haha, I got jokes. They're not good for your body. They're full of chemicals. And so, but I was like, I've got to be able to stay awake, or I've got to be able to show up for my clients, those sorts of things. Drinking coffee, energy drinks. I try to get the ones that aren't full of trash. I, I've, I had even tried Adderall, and I got it as a prescription from my doctor, just so we're clear, because I would have trouble focusing because I was tired and I was all over the place, and I needed my brain to be able to focus. So I tried Adderall, and honestly, I really no shame in the game, but I really didn't want to be on Adderall, and I didn't take it every day. But I definitely had it on the days that I knew that I needed to focus. And if you're judging me on here, well, okay, we're just being friends. So I'm telling you the truth because I want you to know how deep this got for me. And so then I was like, okay, I really don't want to be taking Adderall anymore. So I started trying nootropics and things. And those are like natural ways to kind of hack your brain, which I'm still all about. I probably won't stop taking them because I think nootropics are great. It helps you unlock your brain, helps you like your neurons regenerate. Anyways, another podcast. I won't go down that. But I had tried all of these things trying to get my brain to have energy. I don't need them. I don't need them because I healed the deeper issue that I didn't even know was the deeper issue. I'm so mind blown. And so if you're still with me, I'm wondering right now if you're thinking about things in your life where you know that you're stuck. Maybe you lack meaning and purpose. Maybe you're the kind of person that puts everybody else ahead of themselves, and then you end up feeling exhausted and resentful. Maybe you are the kind of person that does what others think that you should do, but not what you know that you need to do. Maybe you're successful in one area, but you really struggle to find balance or health or romance in other areas. Maybe you feel out of control. Maybe you want to be different, but you struggle to make it happen. Those are all signs of baggage. Those are all signs that things are running. We have a system running below the surface, an operating system that we don't even realize is running. I kind of think about it like malware or a hack, and the internal system where it's like stuff is running and we don't even realize that it's there. So if you answered yes to those questions, honestly, me to you need a breakthrough session. And it doesn't have to be with me. There's people that practice MER, but I think that you really need to recognize that if you are running into those things like I told you about, or maybe you're looking for love and you haven't yet found it, it also might be because you have baggage around that. It might be because it could be staring you right in the face and you couldn't see it because you have baggage. There's some really neat things that can happen with this. So I want you to recognize that if I was going like, maybe this is you and maybe this is you and maybe this is you, if you said yes, you need to deal with the stuff that's in your unconscious mind. I wish that I had known this a decade ago. I wish that I had known this 5 years ago. I wish that I had known this 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I'm mind blown. My body just feels so different. So, best friend, I hope that it was okay for me to just take a few minutes today and to share with you about the power of MER and breakthroughs, and for you to even hear my own story, my own experience of what I've been dealing with in my life and what happened for me, and even the role of the unconscious mind. It's just fascinating. It's fascinating. But as per our usual, my dear friend, I want to leave you with some questions. I want you to think about, Do you have baggage that you're holding on to that you know that you need to let go of? When, friend, would now be the right time to make that shift for your future? That's right. You know the answer to those questions. I want you to know, friend, that I'm here for you. I want you to know, friend, that I believe in you. I know that you don't have to carry what you've been carrying for as long as you've been carrying it. For me, it was over a decade. And I can't even tell you how I feel not carrying it. I didn't even say this, but I'm going to tell it to you now. After I finished my breakthrough session, I came back to my room and I needed to go to the bathroom. And I just sat there on the potty, literally tears streaming down my face, feeling immense gratitude for the process, immense gratitude that something like this exists that works this fast. So, I want you to know that I have immense gratitude for you as my listener, you as my friend, you that continues to show up to even hear what I have to say. And I want you to know that I want you to be the most healed, whole version of yourself. The world needs you to be that. The world needs the most healed, whole version of you. Truly. So when would now be the right time to become that version of you? So, my dear friend, I will be back with you next week. Your girl over here is going to get on a good podcasting schedule. So, I will be back with you next week. I can't wait to share with you what's been on my heart, what's been on my mind, and just to continue to connect with you as my friend. So, until our next time together.